But if you could leverage good debt in order to make money, that makes sense. And I think that's where you got to be careful with Dave Ramsey's teachings. Yes. Because if you can understand the difference between good debt and bad debt, then you're going to understand how to make money and how to make it work for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because it all started going to school. I was in economics class, and then, this guy was speaking about something like equilibrium and whatnot. And I'm a very critical thinker, and I'm very logistical. So I'm thinking, wait a minute, because in my whole life when I was young, I'm thinking I got to be a doctor, right? Because that's when you're a kid, like a Hispanic family, you got to be a doctor, a lawyer, engineer, and I thought that was it. At a young age, I thought. I told myself I'm going to be rich. I'm going to make a lot of money. I'm not going to be in the same position that I am today. Mm-hmm. And I took a class and figured out what equilibrium was and math. And it was like, wait a minute. If I go ahead and I be a physician, spend 8 to 10 years of my life not making any money. Yeah. Go through a bunch of student loan debt on top of that. And then I started looking up, okay, well, what does a general physician make? And they're anywhere from like the mid 100s to 200,000. I'm like, wait a minute. That, I told myself at a very young age, because I knew what money was, because when you don't have it, you come to conclude you know what it is. Yeah. Right? And I was like, man, that was not what I wanted at such a young age. And I'm like, there has to be another way. There's definitely a way, because I figured 10 years of invested in my time, which everyone tells you time is the most valuable thing. Yeah. And it can come to conclude it is. And I've as I got older and more wiser, I'm like, damn, that it could not be any more true, because if I would just been guided to this earlier, I can't even imagine where I would be today, And it's okay if everyone has their own ways, journeys of learning and whatnot. But, man, so... yeah, I'm sitting there and I'm like, there has to be a way. So it all, I didn't know, because that's the thing. Everybody's like, there has to be a way. What is it? I just didn't know. I just knew there was something else, right? Yeah. And I used to be, funny enough, like you guys are not, in production and all that. I used to be in production, and I thought maybe that was it, So I tried that, and I was always on the road, and always on the road. And I looked at other people's, the other like coworkers or people that were ahead of me, and I'm like, well, how was their life, And then I'm like, after some time, I'm like, no, that was not my definition of success. That is not my definition of what I wanted in my life. Yeah. So then I came back home, and oddly enough, I quit my job doing production. Okay.
But with nothing lined up?
Nothing. I just I'm young. I'm at college. So I was like, okay. Yeah, it's not like I'm a grown man. I don't have any responsibilities. True. My rent's like $400. I'll take a couple student loans out and we're okay. Yeah. But yeah, I was like 4th of July. I came back. I was like living in Canada for like 6 months filming. And some girl, Jessica Titler. I don't know if anyone knows her. Adolf Titler. No. Well, some people do.
I want to look her up.
Yeah. But she, and I think in life, there's like reasoning for everything. Things just happen because they're supposed to. And she told me, hey, and I was telling her, listen, I just left production and I need a job. And she's like, oh, I'm a recruiter for a mortgage company. Okay. And I'm like, okay, whatever. She goes, oh, what, it's a call center. I didn't care. I was a young guy. She was like $10 an hour. And I thought, I was okay, that's cool. That's whatever. It is what it is. And that's how I got like introduced to like selling, and I've always had since day one, like I guess I had a niche for it, and I've done very well since then. And everything is whatever opportunity you get, it's what you make of it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like you guys are doing a podcast now, and it's grown over time. Yeah. And nothing, a couple of years later, I built my craft, a lot of work, a lot of sacrifice, dedication. There's a lot of people in my life that are telling me like I'm making a mistake. You need to go to school. My mother, and she and I get it, because what they've been taught when they were growing up, right? That generation, you go to school, right? You get a degree, and that is the American dream. And that's just what that's all they know.
That's the only way to survive. That's the only way to make it.
Right. And that was true for some time.
Yeah,
right?
That was true. Yeah.
Yeah. And then now that and again, the whole thing of when I was in that, economics class, I'm thinking, wait a minute, but there's so many other people now that have degrees. Like how many people that today have a bachelor's? And I'm not knocking a bachelor's degree down. I'm not. I'm just saying the value of a degree today is not the same monetary value that it was maybe 20 years ago.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
It's just a supply and demand. Right now you're having, as you can see, inflation, right? There's so many people with degrees nowadays. It's not like a big deal as much.
Yeah, it doesn't really mean anything.
Yeah, I just think people have it just to say they have it because their parents probably wanted them to have it. I think that's that one thing. But even, these days, there's people with no degrees that are much more successful that do have degrees. It's just so irrelevant. I feel like most people have cracked the code on school where they're like, this is bullshit. So by all means, I mean, if you have a professional degree, whatever,
full disclosure,
you have your career, by all means, that's good for you guys. But there's other degrees out there that it's like, did you really need that degree to be doing what you're doing?
And I think that what's the big difference now versus our parents or their parents, back then you can get a degree and these people paid like $2,000 for their bachelor's. Yeah. And they're like, oh, I worked through college and stuff like that. Like, like you could do it. College was affordable. Now, at the public institution, you're paying like $10,000 a semester easily. Yeah. And so it's just the numbers don't add up. And you were saying at the beginning, like, okay, I got to go into all this debt to then make money to pay off this debt. How long is it going to take me? Oh, it's going to take me 15, 20 years just to pay that off. Well, that doesn't make much sense.
No.
Right? So where's the math here? Like, what am I doing? And
it's good that you mentioned that, because if you look at the inflation of like the cost to attain a degree, right? Has outweighed the increase of wages.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
So it is not so ROI positive as it was maybe 10, 20 years ago. If a degree costs you $2,000 a year or so or semester, now it's costing you 10, right? So that is a 5X from what it used to be. But then if you look at the wages, they're not, it's not, so it's what you can see is that the cost of the degree is outpacing the cost of rate of increase of wages.
Well, isn't it also even the cost of living too? Like even, I remember home prices have gone, they've soared, but then the income hasn't gone up for
that's what I'm saying.
Wages hasn't gone up.
Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Before we continue, we just want to say thank you for supporting us, and we hope you enjoyed the show so far.
As you know, we're growing like crazy, so we want to give you guys more content, but we're very limited on what it is that we can put on social media, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Spotify, all that good stuff. We got to battle their algorithm. So we do want to move a lot of over our content to Patreon, where we have more control to really interact with you guys and give you guys what it is that you want. So moving forward, the audio full episodes will still be available on Spotify and iTunes, but we are going to be changing things up when it comes to the video to put it on Patreon. Now, stick around to the end of the episode where we'll talk a little bit more about Patreon. You can see what it is that we're doing, but we have full control to really interact with you guys and give you guys what it is that you want. So again, thank you guys so much for watching. That being said,
enjoy the show.
Peace.
Back in the days, you can buy, just even in the 70s and 80s, you can buy a house for like $100,000, $80,000, 120. And now, I'm sure, obviously, you are aware of it more than anybody. What the fuck is going on with this economy? Like, it's just it's unsustainable. Like, we're in our late 20s, we'll be 30. You can't afford to buy a house. Back in the days, you can go to school, get a job.
A modest house.
Yeah. Unless you want to live in the fucking, like whatever.
Yeah.
But it's just, what are we doing wrong? So it's just hard to kind of pinpoint and justify getting a degree in this climate.
Environment. And especially in Miami, if you live in Miami, like Miami is the number one most unaffordable place in the country.
It's ridiculous.
And it's not, and people are thinking, well, San Diego and New York or Hawaii are more expensive, but the way it's more expensive, how they calculate that, it's based off of the average wages in Miami-Dade compared to the actual rent and if you're going to be purchasing. So that is why there's like a misconnection there, right? Because people think, well, that doesn't
California is expensive, but
they make more money.
They make more money.
Exactly.
More
wages are higher, and just look at our teachers, correct? Right now, Miami-Dade teachers, they're probably, and I may be wrong, but I think I'm pretty close.
Sure.
They're around 50 to 60,000, right? As a teacher.
I mean, my girlfriend, she used to be a teacher, and she told me that she was, I think she worked at a private school, but regardless, I mean, I don't think that the wages are going to be that out, different. But she was at like mid 40s, I would say. Right. As a teacher.
That's tough, man.
And then my mother, she's in New Jersey. I was raised in New Jersey, and my whole family's still there, but she's a teacher, right? And she's right now, I think, almost closer to 90. There's a big difference.
Oh, really?
Right? Yeah. Teachers over there get much more money.
Yeah.
In fact, as odd as it is, teachers in a lot of other states get paid way more than Florida. It's kind of odd. It really is. And these are professionals with degrees and somewhat responsible for the upcoming of your children and the new generation, right?
Yeah, it kind of makes you think important. Like, how much do they care about the upbringing of the
how
new
much
generation?
They value it.
Yeah, how much they value it when they're when they're not even being valued.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's the thing. I mean, great, they have good schedules and all that, and that's a lot of perks to it. But, you know, I think that school, it's never kind of based to be like your own boss or anything, right? Because if you look at the academic today, like, or even in college, like how much other stuff that you're learning that it just doesn't like really apply in today's day in life.
Yeah.
When was the last time you kind of used some of the skill, like some of the lessons you were taught in college or even high school?
Exactly.
Like,
when was the last time you used y equals mx plus b?
Never.
Marvin?
Never. I think unless it's like a technical, like an engineer or, you know, like I understand that. And if that's what you want to pursue, great. More power to you. But I think 90% of professions out there, like of careers, I should say, don't really require a degree, right? So I mean, it's unless it's like a practical field, a pharmacist, doctor, lawyer. Of course, you got to go to school.
Yeah.
But it's tough, you know, when that's really not what you want to pursue. But then everybody tells you, oh, you got to do this.
Yeah.
So did you finish? Because did you finish college?
No, I dropped out. So I did drop out of college, and again, that was the biggest mistake in my life. I was always told this. My mom's a teacher, so that's what.
Of course.
It's her. It is
the connections now.
It was doomsday.
Yeah, okay? Oh my! I could imagine. What was her response when you told her?
You're making the biggest mistake of your life. How are you gonna, how are you gonna do anything? How are you gonna be successful? Like, what are you gonna do for a living? Like, how are you gonna support yourself? And you know what? And it kind of got to me almost, right? Because it's your mom, and you're gonna respect them, right? Because they're parents. But you know what I told myself, and I definitely did some self-reflecting, and I looked at her and go, well, where's my mom right now and today? It's whatever she's currently going through in life or how her life is at this very moment was things that were decisions that she made leading up to her current destination, right? At least for the present time. And I told myself, I'm like, I don't want to be 50, at the time, I don't know how old it was, 54-year-old, like in teacher that's making 80 to 90,000. Again, that's a modest life, and a lot of people, that's fine with a lot. It's just not my goal. Yeah. So I said, you know what? Like, I respect your input into what I'm doing, but if you're not doing you're not where I want to be when at the age that you were at, then I shouldn't weigh your opinion so heavy. You know?
You told her this though?
No.
Oh, I'm like, damn.
Are you crazy? No.
Yeah.
Didn't want to tell her that, but unless she watches the video.
No, but like, I mean, you're obviously, making moves towards it. So
yeah, and that's how I based my decision. And I think a lot of people, if they were a lot of times people don't want to do things because they don't want to take on the risk, or they just want to live a certain life of comfort, right? And that's where most of the time people live or they never meet their actual like life goals, right? You have to step out your comfort zone and do something that's revolving some form of risk, right? Yeah. You kind of have to go against the grain where other people are. You're not going to follow society, right? You're going to either be the 1% or you're going to be the 99%. And that's how I based my decision in that. And thank God I did,
So what are you doing? What are you doing today? And so you dropped out of school. You started doing from the call center. Where are you? What are you doing today currently?
So I do mortgages. I do sales. Right. I've always done sales, and that is one skill that if you know how to sell, you'll never be broke. At the end of the day, because selling is a part of everything. Whether you're in a relationship, you're selling, and you're selling yourself. Whether you're going to be doing anything, you're selling yourself. You're selling every single day what people don't realize. And selling has a lot to do with like a psychological thing that you can do. But to answer your question, yeah, I'm doing mortgages, and I've done mortgages now since I was about 22.
Okay.
And my first company that I worked for was a complete sweatshop, and it's okay. It's right.
Okay.
Yeah. Young, dumb, very underpaid, no experience. What are you going to expect, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't take it back for anything because I did learn.
Sure.
I learned a lot, and it definitely got me to have like that hustle mentality, that hunger, and I'd started, moving on to bigger companies, and, you know, it was a funny story. So I always wanted to buy my house at like 22. I don't know why I did that. Taylor Swift or whatever. Maybe she got into my head. But, you know, that was my goal. And I did. I bought my house at 22 and I was working for this company. I was making good money. And I was like, oh, I'm on top of the world, you know. And then, you know, I was in a relationship and she's always like, oh, you're working too much. And that's one thing that, you know, like, damn, it kind of got to me. I'm like, yeah, you know what? Like people are always saying life balance and whatnot. And I'm like, damn, maybe I need a life balance. Come to conclude now, that's just a bunch of stuff people feed you. So don't necessarily have to listen to that.
Yeah.
Because if you enjoy what you're doing, it's not necessarily work.
Oh, that's true. Okay.
You know? So one day, mind you, I'm on top of the world. I met my goal, bought my house at 22 years old. I'm in a mortgage company. I'm doing very well. And then, you know, I'm headed outside the house. And I get a knock on the door. Right? I'm about to. I don't open the door to this. I'm nothing against Jehovah's Witnesses. I promise you. My grandmother was a Jehovah's. So but I don't open the door to them. I'm gonna be very transparent. Okay. So I open the door, and this guy and the son, and he's like, "Hello, sir. You know, we're knocking on your neighbor's door today, and we're asking if you had if you had something more of something, what would it be?" All right. And I'm like, Peter wants to say money, but I may not say that because these guys are Jehovah's Witnesses. So let me give a little, you know, poetic.
Yeah.
I said time. And they're like, wow, what do you mean time? I'm like, time, you know, I just work too much. And it's...
You actually engaged in conversation with these people?
I did, right? That's what I was like, let me just give, you know, whatever. So I said time. Wow, sir, that's really good. So I go to the office, my mortgage company, and next thing you know, the office is cleared out. I got a box, a little pay stub. The company went under. We're bankrupt. I was like, I don't be kidding. Way. So it was a damn Jehovah's Witnesses, right? I said time, and sure enough, I was unemployed.
You got more time. Yeah.
I had all the time in the world.
Jesus.
These guys.
I should have told them money, man.
Gypsies, dude.
I should have told them money. I would have been like Jeff Bezos right now, right?
Oh, man, I'm funny.
But yeah, that happened, and that kind of sucked. It was, you know, I was mortgages, and then my industry is... I do purchases, of course, but like a bulk of my business is refinances, right? Mm-hmm. So the company has a certain amount of leads and I can convert the leads, and that's where pretty much how I make my money.
Okay.
Where a lot of people are self-gen, I don't really do that. I'm more of like over the phone sales and converting leads. So there was not really like a actual platform, at least that I know of, here in Miami, that business, like a similar mortgage firm, whatever. And then I still did sales. I did like AT&T corporate sales, and it was making good money, you know, okay. Very stable, like maybe about $130,000 annually, which is good money. Like it's not bad money by any means.
Well, more than what we make.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but it was good money, right? Like you would think, okay, selling cable and internet, I'm making $130,000 a year. Like why the hell would you leave? Which if a lot of people don't know, AT&T actually does pay pretty well. If you can get in. Yeah. People don't realize, even UPS, like, I do mortgages, so I see everybody's income, I see the whole nine. And you would never believe, like, even the UPS drivers, you see them in their little short, 6-figure paying job, a lot of them, you know, and it's like, what? And you have people with degrees, you have teachers, you know, with the bachelor's degree, making $42,000, $48,000. And this guy running around in a truck with shorts, throwing boxes around, is making double the income with no degree.
That's crazy.
So, which kind of gave me more... you know, meat to my theory. But then it goes back to my mother. She's like, oh, you're doing well. At this point, I'm doing well.
Yeah.
Right?
So she's like, oh.
Yeah. That's my mom. My friend hit me up. She's you know, like, I'm like, Mom, you know, I think I'm going to get back into the industry of mortgages, because that's where it was, you know. Yeah. AT&T was fine, but it felt like I was like at like maybe like a 10 skill level, and then like what I'm getting in return wasn't really matching the skill level or my potential. Mm-hmm. So I took the risk and I left, and I did back into the mortgage industry, and I got into one, and it was well, you know. I was generating any from like 20 to 30,000 a monthly. So that was great, right? That's like, damn, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
My mom's like, wow, okay. You know, now she's a cheerleader. Yeah, you good job. You know, like you're doing well. And then my other friend hit me up, and he's like, hey, listen, I saw that you're back in the industry. I'm like, yeah, but I'm not entertaining people, right? Because I'm like, dude, I'm making 20 and 30 grand a month. Like, I'm good.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
And he's like, man, no, like I have people here making $100,000 a month. I was like, wait, what? And that's the thing. Like you just don't see that far ahead, right? You thinking 6 figures, you know, guys making $60,000 to $100,000 a month. You're like, wait a minute, I was just making 120 a couple months ago in my last job, a year. You're telling me there's people doing this almost a month? Almost had like a Wolf of Wall Street moment.
Yeah.
How much money you made last month?
Yeah.
70, you made,
I'll quit my job right now.
I'll quit my job right now. Yeah, I was like, am I having a Donnie moment right now? You know, like, nah, this can't be. So I said, listen, put your money where your mouth is. And after a couple months, I go, you need to show me a pay stub. Because I'm not going to leave this job.
Making 30 bands
a month to go, you know, on a dream. Like, show me the damn pay stub. You know? So he met with me and he's like, listen, hush, hush, you know, like, here's my pay stub. I was like, get the fuck out. Are you serious? This is for real. Like, this is for real.
How much is the pay stub?
So he wasn't a top producer, but he's still good. You know, he I think that month he made a little over 40,000 in just one stub.
Jesus Christ.
Right. So, and I used to work with him. So he's my buddy. He's my manager now. So I hope he watches this. But, yeah, he's like, because he became management and he knew what I can do in the last company. I was a top producer there. So I was like, I'm like, man, if you can make it and I think you're good, like, and I was, you know, actually higher than you. I'm not trying to knock him down or anything, but man, I think I can do it. Like, if you're telling me people are making 100,000 a month, and to me, that's just like crazy because 6 figures in 1 month is, even when I was younger, what I thought money was a 6-figure job a year.
Yeah. Even to this day, I'm still thinking 6 figures a year is not bad.
You're doing well.
You got people.
And it is, you know, and the average American is not even making that. It probably, because I'm licensed in 36 states for mortgages, and the average is, it's like 50 to 54. And that's a good income, you know, for American house individual. But again, it's all your perception of everything. So
that is true.
Yeah, man, I went and I said, you know what? Like, what is the worst that can happen? Like, I'm talking, this guy made 40. He's literally making, and by no means he's a top producer. He's making more than I'm making as a top producer at this other company.
Yeah.
So I told him, who's the number one guy? What did he make? You know, who's the number one guy? I think he made like 120,000 in a month or something like that, you know, like over $1 million a year. Oh my God. And that's how I always base it. I'm like, who's your top guy? Because whoever the top guy is, that's the guy I'm going after. And that's something that I can definitely attain.
Yeah.
And yeah, sure enough, my mom's like, don't do it. You know, like, that's the biggest mistake ever. You know, how are you going to leave this good job?
You're making 30 right now.
Exactly. It's logical. I get it. So, because again, it's all about perception, and I go back to it. She just doesn't see that far. She's like, that can't be true. Like, somebody making that, like, that can't be possible.
Yeah, especially if you've never
realistic.
seen that. It's almost hard to. Well, it's like everything. If you've never seen it, how do you know it's possible? How do you know it's true?
Exactly. And that's why you surround, like, show me your friends, show your future. Like, surround yourself with people that this is like an everyday thing. Like, I've met people that are, man, they're doing this on a daily basis, and it's just like, man, how am I? Like, I'm so far behind. And that's how I always see myself. You know, I don't want to associate, not that I have a lot of friends that are, granted, it's what I'm doing. It's not like a common thing, but it can be, you know, at the end of the day. So I'm very grateful for what I have, but it's not, I like to surround myself with people that are going to help me grow and just keep going and get bigger and bigger and bigger. So $100,000 in a month is nothing to them. You know, you have people doing this on a daily basis.
True.
And, so yeah, my mom, she just can't, she doesn't see that far, right? That's a whole that's a whole year's worth of pay to her. To see that in a month, it's just, you just don't see it. Just like how JC said, like, you know, I saw a podcast, he was saying that, you know, his uncle, he's going to sell 1 million. JC said he's going to sell 1 million records. And his uncle's like, oh, you're crazy. Like, how are you going to sell 1 million records? And then JC's like, well, now sold 1 million records like 1 million times, right? Because his uncle, he's perceiving himself into that position. Like, he can't sell 1 million records.
Yeah.
But I can.
Yeah, just because you can't do it doesn't mean I can't do it.
Exactly. It's all about what you get, because they're kind of foreseeing themselves of what they're capable of. Sorry about that.
Oh, it was you?
Yeah, it's probably my mother. No, it's not. My sister. She's a pharmacist. Okay, so anyways, it's funny that you said pharmacist, but because she wanted to do mortgages too. But yeah, and that's why where it comes from. Like, they don't see themselves being able or capable of achieving that high level of success. So it kind of feeds onto you, and it's not like she's meaning to do it. It's just that's all she knows, right? So of course I did not listen to her again. And I kind of feel like sometimes like whatever her output is, maybe I should do the opposite.
Yeah.
It's done for me, baby.
Like Dave Ramsey. Like Dave Ramsey.
I don't like Dave Ramsey. Sorry, I don't like him.
Debt is bad.
Yeah.
What's your input on that though? The whole debt is bad.
I think Dave Ramsey is an idiot. No, I'm sorry. I don't think you're an idiot, Dave Ramsey. You do bring up some good points because if you think about it,
yeah,
there is bad debt.
Correct.
And that is the one that you don't want to have. Mm-hmm. I do understand that. But if you could leverage good debt in order to make money, that makes sense. And I think that's where you got to be careful with Dave Ramsey's teachings. Yes. Because if you can understand the difference between good debt and bad debt, then you're going to understand how to make money and how to make it work for you.
Yeah.
What I do like about him is in the sense, for example, if you are someone who doesn't know how to manage your money and you do have a lot of debt, then he's okay, fine. Maybe we should get rid of this debt. Yeah, you don't want debt. That I get. But if you are someone who is using debt in order to make money, I don't think he would have the same opinion on that. If anything, he would, Yeah. So that's why. But you're a supporter of.
I watch some of his stuff. Some of his stuff is entertaining. I do like his idea of like paying off debt, budgeting. I think it's important. Actually, I downloaded his app and I tried it for a couple of months. Pretty good. Because you got. He's like, you got to know where every dollar goes.
Oh boy.
He said that stuff. And that was shit. But no, like when you write it down, you like realize, man, I spent X amount of money on this. Yeah. You have to know where your money is going. So I like some of his ideas, but Chris expressed it perfectly. Like, yeah, there's good debt, there's bad debt. And we live in a world where a lot of it, good debt is rewarded by, you can make money. You can really leverage that.
Yeah.
And you have to be witty. You have to be financially savvy. A lot of it, people they're never being taught that.
Yeah.
But going based off just everything that he says, I don't agree.
Yeah, you can't. That's not universally applied.
Yes, exactly. And he makes a living off of people not knowing how they manage their finances. That's how he makes.
He's got to be doing something right.
He is, because he's worth a couple $1 million. But but I would agree with you, Chris. I mean, it's all about cash flow, right? And that's how I see things.
Yes.
If it's and that's where you look at mortgages in place, because that's what I do for a living. But
yeah.
If you're going to be buying an investment property, and let's say the mortgage is costing you with taxes, insurance, all in, about $2,500. Mm-hmm. I have a friend, and he's Airbnb-ing, and even though his mortgage is $2,500, Dave Ramsey would tell you to pay the damn thing off. Don't buy another house unless you're going to be paying off your property house.
Yeah,
exactly. And it's just like, no, dude. It's all about. A lot of it has to do with cash flow, and even Grant Cardone would tell you this, right?
Yeah.
Because the mortgage is $2,500, but the Airbnb is generating him an $8,000 gross of rental income, and once you mind the expenses, I mean, look at the cash flow. Cash flow is king. Yeah. It's good, bad. There's good and bad debt, right? If it's ROI positive, it makes sense. And not only that, it's not only that you're going to be netting the difference from, let's say, 8,000. If you're grossing 8,000, rental is about 2,500. So $5,500 in net. But not only that, you're also growing your net worth.
Yeah.
Because it's not only just $2,500 just expensive. No, like you are paying down that mortgage for one.
Sure.
These investment properties, mortgage interest is a tax write-off towards your income.
I was going to ask you that, right? Yeah.
Taxes is write-off towards your
you want to have that debt.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, it's also not only that, the debt that you're paying is a write-off for your taxes.
Right. Exactly.
So and again, your net worth, and as you can see, the cost of housing right now, right, is accelerated by a substantial amount. Like, I bought my house for around $360,000. Today, it's worth over $700,000.
Jesus.
Wish I would have bought like 10.
But that's also because of the craze of the market. Because I don't think we've ever seen a surge as prominent as it's been over the last 12 months.
There's two things. Right. I think the rate is how much of it's increased. Yes, I think that's a little bit out of the norm.
Okay.
But if you look at the overall trend in the housing market overall, even if there's a great dip, the overall trend line is going up.
Oh, I'm 100%.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
That's going to happen. And then if you look at Miami alone, just think about it. Like, Miami was the Everglades. Like, nobody lived here. Right. Yeah. So I think Miami, a lot of it has to do with Miami being very undervalued. Correct. I
heard that from somebody.
Who doesn't want to live in Miami now?
Yeah.
Compared to the 90s, like, there was not much going on. Like, now we have amazing restaurants. We don't even have a Michelin star yet. Do you realize that? Like, we don't even have a Michelin star in Miami for all these great restaurants.
Really?
Yeah. So
I thought they had one in Ann Arbor. Maybe not.
No, Miami does not have a single Michelin star yet. So what you have to look at is, like, just like when you're investing in, like, Tesla, right? Like if you would have bought Tesla maybe 4 years ago, people were like, oh my God, $400 a share. That's crazy.
Yeah, look where it is now.
Well, now it's kind of dropped a lot.
Yeah, it has dipped.
It's good, but maybe you look back a month ago.
It was like $1,000 at one point.
Yeah, it was about $1,200 a share.
Yeah.
You know, and just because and that's the thing, like, you know, just because you're paying more now, the next guy after you, if it's a long-term thing and if it's generating you an actual positive cash flow at the same time, it's not so much. I mean, the next guy after you is going to overpay. And the next guy after him is going to overpay. It's always going to be like that. And I think Miami now is being more priced into a fair valuation than it wasn't in the past. I think we've seen a lot of growth. I mean, you can just see, look at Brickell, look at downtown, look at Wynwood. Wynwood was a dump. Like nobody would walk in Wynwood. And now it's like everyone's partying, Bad Bunny.
People are living in Wynwood. They like apartments, like condos, high rises,
like real estate. You know, it's like
yeah.
So
I think it's a very unique position to have you on because I like to get some insight. Do you see the number? You see kind of the back end. Chris and I, we talk about real estate all the time, even though this is relationship related.
I know,
briefly,
right?
but this is what you do for a living.
Yeah.
So I want to take this opportunity really quick. Do you see for myself as well? What do you see the trend in Miami? Do you think this is going to keep going up? Is there going to be people say, "Oh, the fucking crash"? I don't think there's going to be a crash. Maybe, but is it going to correct or stabilize, or is this like you were saying? Hey guys, thank you so much for watching this episode. If you enjoyed this content, please head over to Patreon where you'll be able to watch the full episode, get exclusive content, and watch all of our episodes at an earlier time.
Yeah, so Coffee Breakup started, being a short little break within your day, whether morning, afternoon, night, for you to get, your information, 30 minutes, nice and easy. But obviously, as we're expanding, more guests, more episodes, longer episodes, we want to make sure that we can put that in a little space for those who really want to enjoy those episodes. So head on over to Patreon where you can subscribe for a small little fee. It'll help us continue expanding our business and giving you that same content that you guys really want to follow us for. So again, thank you guys so much for everything. We couldn't have done it without you. But again, head on over to Patreon, check us out, see if it kind of tickles your fancy, and
we appreciate your support.
Yeah, we love you guys.
Thank you guys.
Later.
Ciao.